events with Team in Training. How many, Byron?
3.
3? And how much do you think you've raised over that period of time?
Heck, I don't know. Probably close to 18,000, I suppose.
So not only is it possible to do once, but
3
again,
times, yes,
and
that's
again,
right.
so-
And to do it all with cancer. That's just crazy.
So go ahead.
So this vest I wore down to chemo. I bought all these. I didn't buy these. I earned these. But these here I bought online, and I wear this vest down to Misty and kind of go around and talk to the people that were having troubles. But so this is. You guys can pass this around. This is some pictures of what I looked like before I got started with Team in Training. I was not in very good shape. So, I know some of you have heard this story before. That's too bad. You're going to have to listen to it again. So, good morning, team.
Good morning!
Woo! Okay, most of you know me, but my name is Byron Slager. I would like to start off this morning by just saying thank you. Thank you for joining the team. Thank you for being here this morning, and thank you for saving my life and many other people's. Last night I sit down to update this story, and I got to thinking how lucky I am that I really don't have any more bad news right now to add to the story. So
awesome.
That's a really good thing. Cancer and Team in Training have been a life-changing experience for me. It all started 8 years ago on March 6th, 3 days from now. I can't believe it. It's been that long already. There was an area on my neck that started swelling, and swell, and go down, and swell, and go down. And so I finally went to the doctor. They did a biopsy, and I was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, indolent, which is slow-growing and incurable. That's right, I said incurable. But you know, with people like you guys, we're going to find a cure. We have to find a cure for this stuff. When I was diagnosed, I was in pretty bad shape. I weighed in at 293 pounds. I smoked 2 packs a day. I drank at least 12 cans of Pepsi a day, and after work I pounded beer until bedtime. I did not exercise, I had high blood pressure, and I was as close to diabetic as you can get. And believe it or not, I'm one of the lucky ones. Lucky ones because I didn't have to start treatment until symptoms occurred. With my type of cancer, they don't treat it until symptoms start. So the doctor looked at me, grabbed my arm, and he said, if you don't get into shape, this cancer will take your life. That's when it hit me. I needed to get in shape to win the fight against cancer. I've never felt a fight in myself as I felt in that moment. I went home, I continued to eat all the wrong things, smoke as many cigarettes as I could, and drink as many beers as I could before midnight. And boy, I did too. I woke up the next morning to my new life, my new beginning, and quite a headache. I quit smoking, I quit drinking beer, and I quit drinking pop. I quit eating processed and sugar-filled foods as much as possible. I'm not going to let cancer kick my butt. I'm going to make cancer sorry it chose me. Believe me, that first 3 weeks was hard. I wanted to hurt people really bad. I did a search online for non-Hodgkin's, and this is where I found Team in Training. It was a perfect way for me to pay it forward, a way for me to lose weight, a way for me to show people it's not the end of your life, it's just the beginning of a new one. So in those 8 years, I've lost 115 pounds. I've gone from a tight 48 waist to a slim 34. I drink no pop at all. Water, 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 beer, water. I still like to have beer. No high blood pressure, no diabetes. Here are just a few of the things I accomplished before my first chemo, which was in 2009. So I got 5 years to get myself in order before I really started having symptoms. In those 5 years with Team in Training, I did a full marathon, I did an 18-mile race, I did 7 half marathons, PR'd every one of them. And at this time I started having symptoms. I started having really bad back pain to where I'd have to sit in a chair all night. I couldn't really lay down, it hurt too bad. And I don't like to go to the doctor, So I did that for quite a few nights, really. And after many tests, the doctors found that my cancer had spread to my spine, affecting my nerves. I went into 8 months of treatment, 16 rounds of radiation and 6 rounds of R-CHOP chemotherapy, which, by the way, the R stands for Rituxan, which was founded and developed from the money from Team and Training. And the Rituxan really does a good job for my type of cancer, but it's not one that maybe will work again and again and again. So I kind of used that silver bullet up. So anyway, 5 weeks later, so let's see, this is where it gets good. My oncologist, this is after I did all my treatment. My oncologist told me I would be unable to do any endurance events for probably a year. So 5 weeks later, I went out and ran a 10K. Which, by the way, kicked my butt. Then I did 2 half marathons, 4 triathlons, and 2 marathons plus many miles of training. So you can see this first round, I kicked cancer's ass. I don't know how many times I'll be able to kick it, though. That's why it's so important what you guys are doing for me and doing for all the other survivors and people that are being diagnosed daily. Keep up the great work. I'm very proud of you all. Remember, I can't kick cancer's ass by myself. I need your help. Last year, I slacked off, and I only did a 100-mile bike ride around Lake Tahoe to earn my Triple Crown. This is what Triple Crown is. And then 3 weeks later, I went on to do a 70.3 half Ironman. So you all know what that means. Right now, I'm in my 8th week of training to complete a full distance Ironman.
Awesome.
I will complete this in memory of Paul Stanger, Phil Clark-Go, and my cancer mentor, Daryl Bunce, who all lost their fight to cancer this year. So once again, thank you.
Byron. So we've got quite a few alumni who are in remission, and the thing that strikes me about people once they're in remission is you can walk by that person on the street and never guess that they've had this horrible experience in their lifetime. One of those people that I was shocked to find out was a survivor of blood cancer is our coach, Tim. Tim, where are you at? Come on up, come on up. Tim has been with Team and Training since 2003. Is that 2004? Around there?
Oh, I don't want to say.
Yeah, so quite some time. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you all for coming here today. I'll tell you a little bit about my sad tale of woe. Back in 2000, I was in graduate school, and like Molly was saying, I started getting bruises that just didn't go away, and I got colds that I just couldn't seem to shake. And up till then, I'd been healthy as a horse all my life. I had no health insurance. And one day I was out working in the driveway, and something gave way in my leg, and it started to swell up. About midnight, I was freaking out. My leg apparently I had bled several units of blood into my leg, and I got rushed to the hospital and spent the worst night of my life, listening to some kid down the hall screaming, wondering what the heck was the matter with myself, and got a diagnosis of chronic myelogenous leukemia, whereas I used to like to call it the beast. And I would not want anybody to ever have to go through that. It was hard. I had no insurance. I didn't know what to do. I got information from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Some friends of mine who tried to help me went to the library and got a book out of the library. Well, that book was about 5 years old, and at that point in time, CML was pretty much at the death sentence. The diagnosis was you had 2 to 5 years. It was slow acting, but it was inevitable. 2 to 5 years, you'd be dead. The only cure at the time was a bone marrow transplant, so I did that. But I had no insurance, and the bottom line at that time was you're talking $250,000 just for a transplant, nothing else. So I got a lot of poking and prodding done. Got some good news. My brother was a perfect match for me. That was one of the best days of my life. I went outside and said a little prayer, dancing in the grass. It was, and that was the beginning of my long road. And I got into an experimental study, so I didn't have to worry about my insurance. And that study was funded by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And you know, I had 3-4 days of high dose chemo. The nurse comes in. She's wearing like these thick oven mitts and this big lead apron, and this is the stuff they're putting into my veins. And then they took me downstairs to the basement, and they irradiated my body. And I would go basically into this safe with a door like this thick, and they'd shut it behind me, and everybody else would be back there, and I'd be sitting in this chair in the middle of this room, and I mean, you couldn't feel anything, but hours later, you were just wiped out. And but I pulled through it. You know, I'd be glad to tell you about the details of all that stuff. Let me tell you what, though, I still have not been to the children's cancer ward. I don't know that I could do that. It just would tear me up, even at this point in time. And one day, a guy comes up to me, who's a friend of a friend, and he says, I'm going to go do the New Orleans Marathon with Team Training, and I want to run in your honor. And that was my first exposure to TNT. And I was like, I want to do that. That was my goal. That was one of the things that got me through my recovery. And you know, I remember the first time, the first season, it was I did my event. It was almost 5 years to the day from my diagnosis, and I did it. And I remember sitting at the pasta party beforehand and watching Lynn's face when I stood up and said, I had gone through all of that. It was hilarious. Anyway, it's a hard, cruel world out there, folks. And when you're a cancer patient, you're at the brunt of it. But somehow, I got to meet all these wonderful people I hadn't heard from in years, calling me up. You know, people that friends of mine, you know, when they went and did fundraising, you know, people would just give, and I would get phone calls, I would get letters. There was a lot of good people out there, and that really restored me in a way that the medicine didn't. It gave me the will to fight, and that's why I do this every year. I've been doing it for several years now. There are a lot of good people, and if you look around this room, you'll see some of them right here. And it's a privilege for me to be involved and to meet you guys and run with you, and I want to thank you for that. So, thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, see, I'm still amazed every time I hear Tim's story as well. The next person we're going to hear from is one of our newest alumni, who is also a survivor, who is currently in remission, and she's not actually here today, so speaking on her behalf will be her husband, Trampus, who's out there training with you guys currently, Famous Potato. Trish just completed the Tinkerbell Half Marathon with Molly, and if you looked at the collage that people were signing out there, there's a great picture of her first when she's pregnant, and then at the race. And so take a close look at the picture of her at the race and the shirt that her son Jack is wearing. But next I'm going to introduce Trampus, Trish's husband, and he's going to come in and speak on her behalf.
My name is Trampus Can Answer. My wife was diagnosed November 2012. Not November, yeah, sorry, November 12th, 2010, with Hodgkin's lymphoma. But she was 32 weeks pregnant with Jack right here. It was unique. She came home 4 days before that. We were getting ready, my daughter, which is right now in there playing a video game, getting ready to go to an OB appointment when she was getting off work. She's a nurse at St. Luke's downtown Boise in the CCU, and she came home and she was ripping her clothes off, and she was like, I have this lump in my neck. And I was just like, you know, it's nothing, you know, it's you're pregnant, you know, you're second pregnant